Joining us, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, President of the Janata Party and the principal litigator in this entire case. Mr. Chidambaram Pal, spokesperson of the Congress Party, also joining us tonight is Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General, as well as Joginder Singh, former Director of the CBI. Dr. Malay Swamy, former MP and senior leader of the AIDMK, joins us from Chennai. Let me begin with you first, Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Many people are interpreting the decision by the court today as, if not a setback to Mr. Chidambaram, but at least on the face of it, some sort of a problem for the minister. Why would you say that this is necessarily a problem for the minister?
Well, there are two aspects which do point to creation of some difficulty for Mr. Chidambaram. One is that of the principal charges that have been framed, one of them is that, of course, the first principal charge is the fixing of the price at 2001 level.
Yes.
The second is that some of the companies which got these licenses, despite a 3-year lock-in period that was necessary, were provided another route by which they could flout it, and through the concept of share dilution, in effect sell the companies which they could not otherwise have sold for 3 years. Now, in the process, these companies sold these licenses at 8 times the price that they paid for the license in the first place to the government of India. So, therefore, a pecuniary benefit was provided to these companies, and therefore, Section 13 bracket 1 bracket D of the Prevention of Corruption Act is attracted, yes. And that's where the corruption case rests. Now, there was a document which I had filed in the Supreme Court, where Raja had circulated to his own officials, saying that there is much criticism that I permitted these companies to sell these licenses. Actually, right. I thought I could not do it, but it was Mr. Chidambaram who told me how it could be done. So, what this file essentially shows is the interaction between Chidambaram and Mr. Raja, and this file was kept in CBI custody, whereas all other files have been placed in the custody of the court.
That's very interesting. Let me bring in Mr. Chidambaram Pal. Mr. Pal, it seems that the court has directed the CBI to part with this file, which, if Mr. Swamy, or Dr. Swamy rather, is to be believed, was suppressed by the CBI. This suggests that there is, at least on the face of it, some complicity here of somebody that didn't want that file to be seen. This is what Dr. Swamy is saying. And now, with the court having allowed this file to be tabled as part of the court record, and with the fact that he will have access to it, his case will be stronger. How do you react to this?
I think so. In this panel, former CBI Director Mr. Joginder Singh is also part of, and he is sitting here. I think so. In the history of even CBI or any investigating agency, for the first time Congress UPA government has given in writing to the Supreme Court, and only just to ensure transparency, because Congress UPA government, at least in this year, we are very fair. If somebody is found to guilty, he will be taken into task. I think so. We are not going to defend to someone, and whatever we have given in writing, our government has given.
No, but the number what Dr. Swamy is saying is really this, that if Mr. A. Raja claims that he was working at the directive of the Home Minister now and the Finance Minister then, Mr. P. Chidambaram, then surely he should be brought within the ambit of this case. Mr. Pal.
I think so, what he has said, but just I think so everybody is aware that Mr. Raja and Chidambaram, what policy they have adopted. This policy was made by the BJP and NDA government during 2001. First come and first serve.
Okay. So you're saying that the policy was consistently followed, policy that was set by the preceding government, by the NDA government, and that was adopted to the T. Okay. Let me go across. very quickly to Vikas Singh. Vikas Singh, on the face of it, one would come out and say that, look, the government was following a policy that was set down in place so that telephony could be made widely accessible, and the question of pricing itself is a notional issue. But where do you stand really on this point?
No, on the pricing aspect, Rahul, I have said this before also, that once the government takes a decision to have a particular price at which it is to be given to anybody who comes in a first come first served basis, then there cannot be any complicity as far as the pricing aspect is concerned. Now, I'll give you an example. Tomorrow you decide to build a highway in a remote area where you feel that this highway is essential because it is going to actually add value to that area. You may decide to put a toll, you may not decide to put a toll. If you put a toll, you can earn thousands of crores of rupees in that year. But if you decide not to put a toll, could it be said that it is a criminal decision that you wanted? Telecom today is like infrastructure, and the country has witnessed this whatever development as far as the country has taken in the last couple of years. A lot of it can be given to attributed to infrastructure that the telecom industry has created. And telecom, the private players came in only because the government was not in a position we all forget the OIT days and the general OIT days and the MP quota, etc. And we used to wait for months to get a telephone connection. And even if you had a telephone connection, to get into an STD line or a local line used to be another harrowing.
What's the point?
The point that I'm making is that telecom is an infrastructure. So if you decide to provide this on a non-discriminatory basis to everybody who comes on a first come first served basis, then where is the question of that decision being faulted as being having any criminal element involved in it? If it is to be given selectively, supposing if I were to say that if X comes, I'll give it to him at 1,000 crores, Y comes, I'll give it to him at 2,000 crores, Z comes, I'll give it to him at 5,000 crores, then somebody can say, look here, why did you do this low price for X? Why higher price to Z? But if it is being given to everybody and anybody, and that too on first come first served basis, and everybody knows this fact that it is being given on first come first served basis, then where is the question of the pricing aspect being said that it is a criminal action, or it can be sort to be said that anybody involved in deciding that price, and that too when there is a regulator to decide this.
Okay.
If you have to
the audio is such that I could not hear anything what he said.
The sum and substance of what Mr. Vikas Singh is saying is that pricing was fixed on the basis of a TRAI recommendation.
Yes.
And if that is the case, then there is no question of the matter going to an EGOM, etc.
Well, we are going over this over and over again in all your shows. The fact of the matter is that the TRI said that you can fix the entry fee at 2000 level.
Yes.
But the spectrum that you attach to it, for 4.5 megawatts or 6.5 as Chidambaram later got it done, that should be priced according to auction.
Right.
Now what Chidambaram and Raja did is they gave that free. The spectrum that came with the license they gave free, and only made some amendments on the annual charge, which is called a royalty on the use of spectrum.
So what you are saying,
you can't have a part of the TRI implemented without implementing the other part, and that is what the TRI chairman had said on the 14th of January in a letter to the telecom minister.
Can I respond
and what
to
your
this
basic case is, Dr. Swamy, is that these documents that have now been ordered to the CBI to actually submit in court will prove the charge that you are making.
No, that file that I have got will show that Mr. Chidambaram played an active role in
permitting companies which got the license to make a huge windfall profit by selling it to companies, foreign companies, which incidentally were blacklisted by the Home Ministry when Mr. Shivraj Patil was the Home
Okay, before I go across to Dr. Malai Swamy as well as Mr. Joginder Singh, let me once again go back to Mr. Jagdambika Pal. The nub of the arguments that are raging, Mr. Pal, is that an undue favor is being shown to Mr. P. Chidambaram, that he is being shielded. How do you react to this?
Question does not arise because there are two things. One is a policy
Shown to Mr. P. Chidambaram that he is being shielded. How do you react to this?
Question does not arise because there are two things. One is a policy decision. I think so Mr. Chidambaram was a part and parcel of policy decision. And the question is that now the execution of that policy was lying with the telecom ministry, and if any irregularity...
Why wasn't this document then? Why wasn't this document submitted as part of the original case record? Why was it withheld?
Now if matter is already sub judice to the court, and if court has ordered some to the CBI, CBI has to produce those files. So definitely whatever court will have a decision, we will have a full honor of court. And we are the government, those who have given in writing only for just to ensure free and fair, even investigation also, and already CBI has filed charge sheet, and in that charge sheet there is no name of Mr. Chidambaram.
Let me go across to Mr. Joginder Singh. Fine, Mr. Pal. One gets your point. Let me go across to Mr. Joginder Singh. Mr. Joginder Singh, on the face of it, it seems that the CBI today got a rap on its knuckles also.
I would say here that investigating officer in its wisdom did not cite them. I don't think there was any malified on that. And secondly, assuming what Dr. Subramanian Swamy says is also, there is no allegation against Mr. Chidambaram for having accepted any money. At the best you can call it error of judgment here. But the fact remains here. Raja was out to defy the Prime Minister, he defied the Finance Minister. It was a question of saving their grace here. And thanks to Dr. Subramanian Swamy, this scandal has come to the light here. Coalition dharma does not mean that you can do whatever you want here. And it was open to the, after all, Chidambaram Sahab never told Raja to prepone the receipt of 25th September or so, from 1st October.
So what you are saying, Mr. Joginder Singh, is that at best, Mr. Chidambaram can be faulted for an act of omission.
I know, error of judgment. I will say error of judgment here. But the fact remains here, there is no allegation, even in CBI records, about receipt of any money by him. Maybe I think they wanted to keep the police under.
But does that make him less culpable? Let me go across to Mr. Vikas Singh.
Let us see.
Error of judgment, Mr. Vikas Singh, make Mr. Chidambaram less culpable?
No, as far as the pricing aspect is concerned, Rahul, I am very firm of the view that if the charge has to stick on Mr. Raja, then it has also to stick on Mr. Chidambaram. He can't say that I am not a party to this decision by the mere fact that the file did not reach him, etc., because he is holding the portfolio for finance. And if the decision is culpable, then in our constitutional scheme, we have a collective responsibility, the cabinet has a collective responsibility for every decision that a minister takes. So the finance minister definitely cannot say that just because the file didn't come to me, I am not responsible for this decision and only Raja should be blamed. So as far as if the blame has to stick on Mr. Raja, it has to stick on Mr. Chidambaram as well. There I am very clear. But in my view, the Raja is only to be blamed for what tinkering he did with the first come first serve, which is subsequent.
Well, that's a matter of interpretation, which we don't want to get into. Okay, so Vikas Singh is of the opinion that a distinction cannot be drawn on the issue of pricing. Let me go across to Dr. Swamy. Dr. Swamy, today there has been what many people would think is a significant turn in this case. Mr. Joginder Singh says that there has been no malified intent on the part of the CBI. Do you agree with this view?
I don't agree with at all. On the other hand, I am in full agreement with the observation that Mr. Chidambaram and Raja both are liable, in the sense that, as a former civil servant, I am fully conscious what is the function of a finance ministry and what is the function of a finance minister. In most of the cases, matters relating to financial implications will be automatically referred to the finance ministry. The finance ministry has to go to what is to be received.
So you are invoking the principle of collective responsibility. Fair enough. You are invoking the principle of collective responsibility. Let me go across to Mr. Jagdambika Pal. Mr. Jagdambika Pal, we are running out of time. The last question to you. On the basis of someone invoking the principle of collective responsibility, why shouldn't Mr. Chidambaram take equal responsibility for the decision that was taken?
Mr. Rahul,
also, in fact, face prosecution given the fact that Mr. Raja has argued in court that all his actions and policies were sanctioned by Mr. Chidambaram, and also, let's not forget the other significant point that one of the charges against Mr. Raja is also, of course, on the policy that was adopted.
Now Raja, what he has said here, now he is accused, but as for concern, you are saying that there should be a collective responsibility. This is true, but for what purposes, if you are defining, as somebody is defining for collective responsibility, I think so. Every day you are seeing that for just to make any legislation, there are always just a formation of group of ministers, GOM, and GOM normally takes a decision, but the decision always
no, because that's the same principle. That's the same principle that is being applied to Mamata Banerjee, who is demanding a rollback in price hike, because at that point the government had said, look, this matter was taken collectively in the EGOM.
True. So definitely,
so how can two different standards be applied here?
No, I'm not going to differentiate anything. This is true. What Mamata earlier at that time when she was a minister.
About the principle. That's why I referred to Mamata Banerjee. Very quickly, sir.
Then you can listen me. Mamata was responsible for that policy for deregulation of the petrol products, petrol prices. But now, if the implementation of this any decision, any policy will be only with a particular department, and if any irregularities, if any things has been happened, to only the minister, officers, those who are concerned, only they can be culpable, they can be liable, they can be responsible.
Okay, very quickly, my last question, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, a distinction has been sought to be drawn by Mr. Jagdambika Pal. Yes, the policy can be decided collectively.
Listen, there is no collective responsibility here. Chidambaram and Raja were designated, were delegated by the cabinet by a decision of 2003 to make the decision on the price. Mr. Chidambaram and Raja made the price, decided the price together because they were empowered to decide. There was no other, the cabinet was not consulted at all. Second, Mr. Chidambaram went a step further and relaxed the rule that you can't sell it for 3 years. And as a consequence, some companies made a huge windfall profit. Now, the culpability is broad as daylight and as clear as daylight, and I don't think there is any collective responsibility question here at all, except that if Chidambaram didn't agree with Raja, he could have invoked Section 7, Rule 7 of the Transaction of Business Rules and referred the matter to the Cabinet.
Section 7, Rule 7 of the Transaction of Business Rules and referred the matter to the Cabinet.
Okay, the jury's out on this one. Our panel divided uniformly, in fact, on this particular issue. Thanks indeed, gentlemen, for joining us.